Awesome music. Someone with the beats.
Hi, hello, how are you? And welcome to yet another episode of the IHNDY series. Sam Nabule is my name, and conversations such as this are part of the tools that we use to grow and develop as individuals, as a community, as a society. Now, today's guest is somebody I'm rehosting because, he's been massive out there. The last time we did this with him, and up to right now, he has made a number of strides. And that's why I thought it wise to have him back again and share with us the words of wisdom he has as far as growth is concerned. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome on stage His Excellency, Mr. Timonah. Hi.
Hi, how are you, Sam?
Fine, thank you. How about you?
I'm well.
You're well?
Yes, I am.
So how has it been? It's been a while, quite a while.
Quite a while. Maneno mengi, but we're still in touch.
Masango machache.
Masango machache.
Now, the last time we had this together, you happened to be the president of your institution. And time has gone by, your term expired, but you've done a lot, and some has been seen, some has gone unnoticed. And would you just mind to recap a little bit of how your presidency was?
For me, presidency, I can say, was a formative stage. That's when I was forming myself, getting to know myself better, understanding the skills that I have and how I can implement them to be a better person. So I learned a lot during that time that I didn't think I'm going to learn. I thought I was good, but turns out I've become better through it. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what I can say.
All right. So maybe just 3 elements that you found important in your time, in that formative time as president. What are the 3 key lessons you learned?
The most important lesson has to be the art of listening,
right?
The art of understanding, and compassion. Because without those 3 aspects in leadership, you really can't do much, because you need to listen to what your people want, you need to understand how they want things to be implemented, and you need to understand their thoughts as well. So to me, those are the most important things that you can talk about whenever you're learning, you're forming yourself, and even being in a leadership capacity as an individual.
Mm-hmm. Now, leadership means you're going to operate as a team, and this team is not just a bunch of friends working for a common good. How did you deal with difficult individuals, people who, for some weird reason, they didn't understand your project, they didn't understand your vision? How did you deal with them?
For me, it's quite interesting, because sometimes when you present an idea in a meeting, at that specific point in time, people will not understand what is this person saying. So yes, we'll have brainstorming meetings, we'll have minutes and whatnot, but when it comes to implementation, 1 or 2 of your teammates might not understand exactly why you have this project. So personally, I really did a lot of individual reaching out, simply because yes, we might be in a boardroom together, but you didn't understand a concept as it should be. Or probably you understood it well, but you feel like you have a better input. So I really prioritized on having one-on-one engagements with my teammates. I really can't say I had someone who was stubborn. Everybody had their own gifts uniquely. So having those one-on-ones really helped a lot, because that's when you get to understand why someone has a different opinion that they couldn't bring on a boardroom, So having one-on-one conversations really helps a lot. Number 2, sometimes you have to show your teammates that you're not the only person who's willing to help. You need to understand, yes, you might be a team of like 10 people or even 15, but you're serving close to 4,000 people. The fact that you're serving so many people, you always have volunteers. You always have volunteers. And these volunteers will come and tell you, I'm willing to do this. I don't need pay. I don't need money. So at a point, if I notice I have a stubborn teammate, I just delegate a duty to a volunteer. And you'd be shocked. The minute that your teammate realizes that there's a volunteer who is doing better than they are, they up their game because now they see this volunteer as a threat.
Yes.
So I can say one way or the other, that really helped a lot.
Okay. And the little I know about the presidency is that you're a link between what I'd call the big guys and the little guy down here. And sometimes they normally have conflicting interests. And now you're caught up in this battle. How did you maintain your sanity knowing that in as much as I'm fighting for these people, I also have a life to live, I have a reputation to keep, and I got bills to pay, I got school to do. How do you balance? You walk right into this war, but you still have your life in order. What's the hack?
The hack is knowing yourself, knowing your limits, knowing your boundaries. Like there's nothing else. Okay. Because at the end of the day, you need to remember before you even applied for this position and people voted for you, you had your own thoughts, you had your own way of doing things. So it's a matter of planning yourself, planning your time right, because at the end of the day, you're a student. It doesn't matter you're a student or not. You still have to pass. If you used to pass, you have to maintain your grades. That means if you used to study from 11 p.m. to midnight, now probably your meetings will even end at that 11 p.m. Your mind is tired. So you need to have time for yourself. That's what I can say. What I normally used to do, every weekend, mostly Sundays, I just get out of the house, I leave my phone, I leave everything. I go take a nice refreshing walk. And by the time I'm back, my thoughts are cleared. That's the time I can actually sit down, start studying and just dealing with things. On the aspect of managing the balance between the school management, the administrators, and the comrades. First, before you even became a student leader, you are a comrade. You know your problems. You know how to solve them. Number two, now you're in this space whereby you're in the middle. You need to strike a balance between the students and the administration. So what you need to do first, you need to understand how the administration works. If you don't understand how it works, you're going to be in conflict with them, and you really don't want that at all. So you need to understand how policies are run in the institution, how they govern things, how they even request for money, how you do your accountability. You need to understand that. So luckily for me, before I became president, I was in that space of being an inactive student leader. I could see what the former presidents were doing before me. So I got to learn a lot on how to handle issues. Generally, yeah, that's the best answer I can give that question.
All right. And now something that I want to ask you something, and I want you to think about it for a while before you respond. If you didn't get into the presidency, how different will you be today? Both positively and negatively.
I really don't know. I really don't know. Positively and negatively, if I didn't get into presidency. Okay, one thing with me, I'm always outgoing. I always try my best not to be at a point of comfort. I think I'd still be grinding, I'd be hustling, I'd be supporting the person who will have won if it was not me, because I love student activities, I love student affairs. Like campus life is all about those sporting events, the events, like everything. And I really love that. I love being in the middle of it. So whether or not I'd have been president, imagine I'd still be in the spotlight doing 1 or 2, 3 things. Yeah. Negatively, of course, after losing an election, you need to collect your thoughts and not get into depression, because young people invest a lot of money, emotions, and time whenever you're going out whenever you're vying to any seat, no matter how small it is. So I think one negative thing that I'd actually face, probably I'd get into some small sort of depression, but I know myself, within a week or 2, I'd have jumped back to being myself. So yeah, I think that's the best answer I can give.
All right, that's fine. Let's talk about the opportunities you've had as president and how much you've done. I've seen you in, what's the name again? Vice Versa.
Vice Versa Global.
Yes, I've seen you in Vice Versa Global. I've seen you in many other things. Some noticeable, some unnoticed. How did you get into them? Was it purely the presidency opportunity, or your grind and your hustle as a person?
I can say the presidency somewhere influenced it, but even if I was not president, probably I'd have still been in Vice Versa Global.
So for those who don't understand what this thing is, what is Vice Versa Global? I'm one of those who, I think I asked you at some point, what is this thing?
So Vice Versa Global is a grassroots media organization that aims at telling positive stories about the Global South. The Global South is basically Africa, South America, and Asian countries. You understand that, okay, Vice Versa Global originally was Vice Versa Netherlands. So its expansion to Africa, we now call ourselves as Vice Versa Global, and there's Vice Versa Netherlands. So the fact that we're in two continents, we're in that global space. When BBC comes to Kenya, when all these international media organizations come to Kenya, most of the reporting that's done is on negative news and negative occurrences, poverty, disease, famine, politics. Like, we don't get to hear the positive stories. So we as Vice Versa Global, we want to change the narrative. We want to say that young people out here are doing positive things. We don't have to sell to the international market that Africa is hopeless. Young people are not doing anything. So that's why we have Vice Versa Global. We're here to change the narrative. We're looking for positive stories. How are you making an impact in your community and society? So other than reporting, we do events that are aimed at telling positive narratives. So for 2023, we had 3 successful events. The first one being International Women's Day. And we launched our GBV special. GBV is gender-based violence, whereby we've just told a lot of stories about how people have sex to get water. How can you decriminalize sex work? Because this is a source of income for people. How can we have policies that guide aspects of gender-based violence? How can they be implemented other than being on paper? So we celebrated the International Women's Day at Roland Camp in Kibra. And it was very successful, dubbing that the county government of Nairobi took it as their own festival, yet us being the conveners. The Dutch embassy, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Netherlands was also present in our festival. And I can say it really had a big impact for residents of Kibra. Our second event was on the Community SDG Festival. So when you think about the Sustainable Development Goals, they're only talked about in panel discussions, high-end meetings with politicians, the presidents of different nations. At the end of the day, who are the beneficiaries of this SDGs? It's us, community members. So we looked that last year was marking halfway of the SDGs. You understand they're expiring in 2030. And we said, why can't we have our own side event parallel to the UN summit on SDGs that was happening in New York? So we did this. We came up with a concept. We pitched to potential partners who were very interested, and they came along. It was a very successful event. We are proud that the UN SDG hub for Kenya actually was among the partners for the event. And it was all about how can we have SDG villages. Is there a youth group of young people who are planting trees? They've come together. They're working on climate action. That's SDG number 13. How can we improve on food security? Fortunately, even for that festival, Vice Versa Global, we did, we also launched another magazine called the GBV, not GBV Special. It was the Zero Hunger Special. So we went all around Africa collecting positive stories of how people are coming up with innovations to curb food security. How can you dry fish? How other people in other countries are consuming rats for food. That's protein, because at the end of the day, there's poverty. Very accurate. That story.
I was there. I tried about it. And, that's a story for another day.
These are innovations that go unreported. And you see, by us now being in that space, we are telling these positive stories. We are having an impact to young people. So yeah, our last event was, I think, our one that blew up, made it to the headlines of news. It was on Citizen TV, Daily Nation, Taifa Leo, international media was there. Was the Ability Celebration Festival. It was
the one you held here, right?
Yeah, here in Tangaza. So we had a march from Langata Road to Tangaza University College with banners, with people with disabilities, just advocating for how can we celebrate people with disabilities. You understand that in a normal context, when you're talking about people with disabilities, it's always an aspect of, oh, we are begging for them. These people are not able. The narrative that's there that they have to be in the streets begging. But no, we have PWDs who are doing so well out there, Why can't we have a space for them to tell their positive stories? We need to hear the successful stories as a way of empowering other people with disabilities. How as you as an individual, can you be empowered by just hearing these positive stories? So we had panel discussions, impact stories. It was really, really wonderful. We had 456 individuals with disabilities on ground, and a total number of roughly 750 attendees for that specific festival. So it was big. It was a precursor for the International Women's Day. Sorry, it was a precursor for the International Day for People with Disabilities. And it was quite good. I really, really can't say that we didn't do our best. So for this year, Vice Versa Global, we as much as we say we want to work with grassroots communities, we noticed all of our events for last year were in Nairobi. We still have communities in Siaya, Lodwar, Isiolo. We noticed that we have a gap. How can we expand our portfolio, not only operating in Nairobi, the CBD? So this year, we are going to host the International Women's Day Festival in Kwale County, in Ukunda Showground to be precise. The governor, Her Excellency Fatuma, is going to be our chief guest. She has confirmed. And so these are the small things that we are doing at Vice Versa Global to change the narrative. How can we be out there and tell our positive stories? So Vice Versa Global, we are not only present in Kenya, here in Africa. We have addresses in Uganda, Kampala, and we recently launched our new branch in Ghana, West Africa. So as much as we're in 3 countries currently, there as the business developer and partnership lead of Vice Versa Global, we are looking to come to more African countries. So hopefully South Africa soon, or probably Tanzania. Once we get our things in order, you might hear Vice Versa Global is expanding to a different country this year, as it is.
I'm proud of you, and we wish you all the best in that. It's such a good thing to do, and also at your age, I know very few people who are doing what you're doing. So very, very proud of you. Let's talk about how you get yourself into these spaces. What informs your ability to generate this social capital and network?
That's a very good question. I think for me, I usually say, as much as we might be in a serious meeting, let's not be too serious. How do you have a personality in you? Probably after the meeting, we might have a sit down and talk about politics. We can have a sit down and I talk about my favorite artist. You tell me why you love Bongo, why you love Lingala. We share on this specific out of work experiences. And I think that's how I get to network and leverage on my social network as well. So as much as possible, yes, we are working, but how can we know each other outside work? Because actually that's what gives you peace of mind. You have a family. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your children. How is life for you? Please give me advice on how I can be a better individual. So I think this is how I get to network as an individual. And even the same way how I got to Vice Versa Global. It's very fun. It's because these guys actually came for a meeting in Tangaza University with the inclusion officer. They really liked how we do inclusion in Tangaza. So it so happened that the team came here. We had a physical meeting with them. And the inclusion officer told me, Timonah, I think I'll be like 5 minutes late joining the virtual meeting. Since I know you've arrived at home, do you mind starting the meeting and chairing it by the time I get in? So I just took instructions and I started the meeting. Then she joined. Her joining the meeting, she took over. But I think those first 5 minutes is when the team at Vice Versa Global came. It was like, we like how organized he is, we like his command, how he has structured the meeting and everything. That's how I got myself to Vice Versa Global, honestly speaking. So they called me and they were like, we have an opening, we want to do the Ability Festival, we'd like to be the coordinator. I was like, why not? Let me go for it. And also at the same time, remember I'm a student, I really had to go for attachment. Being a student leader sometimes can make you forget some things. So when my classmates were applying for attachments, everybody had been placed somewhere. I totally forgot I need to apply. Totally forgot. So when they called me, I was like, perfect. This is what I need to hear. So I told them, yes, I'm coming in a working capacity, but academically I need to go for attachment. So I went and spoke to my program leader. She was like, is it related to communication? Yes. what aspects of communication are you going to cover? I'm going to handle the website, internal communication, external communication, graphic designs, everything. She was like, this is a full comprehensive coverage of what you're learning in school, and I allow it to happen. So I can say God works in mysterious ways, because I was very confused. I didn't know where to go. Yes, I had networks, the judiciary and other organizations, but I was like, I need a place where I'm equally flexible, because my personality as well, I'm not a person who likes to sit under the desk for 8 hours. If you make me sit under the desk for 8 hours, it's
That's not you.
That's not me. I'm someone who's always out there. I want to be in a meeting somewhere. Where are we? I'm an extrovert by nature. So I think being the coordinator for Ability Festival made me realize I'm an extrovert, and I thrive being an extrovert. Because planning for a festival requires finances. At this time, the two convening organizations had decided they're not going to spend their budget to have a festival. How can we have external stakeholders? So it was my responsibility to come up with these letters, going out to pitch, and getting as much funding as possible for the festival, because no money, no festival. No money, no mobilization. No money, no nothing at the end of the day. So yeah, I realized kumbe I can do resource mobilization in a way at that point. And yeah, so that's how I got myself into Vice Versa Global. We had a very nice festival. Then pretty much it.
Oh, that's perfect. One final question I might have for you before maybe you give us a parting shot. Looking at most people your age, there's something I believe in. We call it the 33% rule, whereby 33% of your time should be spent on people who are above you, 33% on people at the same level, and 33% people lower. So looking at the 33% of your peers who are kind of above you in terms of ambition, in terms of finances, in terms of outreach and all that, what is this one thing they're doing that the other 33% of your peers who are on the same level with you or below you are not doing, that is placing them where they are?
I think it's all about dedication and self-discipline, honestly speaking. Because even myself, I can say that sometimes that I can say I've planned to do something, but the procrastination might make me miss an opportunity. If you have a tendency to procrastinate, that means you're not self-disciplined. So I think what most of my peers actually are doing is just procrastinating opportunities. You might see a volunteer opportunity with a deadline of like next week. You tell yourself, it's next week, I'll apply tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, you even forget. Then you remember on Saturday, man, this thing is expiring on Monday. Then you remember, I've not had breakfast. Let me prepare breakfast, wash my clothes, do this, do that. Before you know it, time has elapsed. So I think that's the biggest problem. We tend to procrastinate. And then another big problem is peer pressure. Like, people out here are lying to each other. Mnadanganyana. Like, honestly speaking, a practical example of like from when we were in primary, high school, and even campus. You'd be funny, someone will tell you, just some have not studied at all. Hey, you go both of you in the exam room. You look at your friend, this friend is writing. He is writing and you're there, you're blank. Hey, your friends, you stay together, you party together, but you're like, at the end of the day, you don't know what this person does when he goes to his house. Probably go to your house and sleep. This person will sleep at like 3 a.m. Have time to refresh. 2 days later, you're in the same exam room. You're like, after exam, you'll be like, I didn't have content. And you're there, you're like, man, I saw you writing. I saw you writing. What are you writing? You just tell yourself, probably he didn't want to leave an empty transcript, man. At the end of the semester, you'll realize, mnadanganyana. So it's a matter of being true to yourself, understand yourself. And sometimes, I think, don't be swayed by friends. Yeah. Have your own decisions, have your own stand, man. That's what I can say. And don't procrastinate, like it's a really bad thing.
Last weekend I attended a conference held by Ted. You know Ted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, here in Westgate Mall. And the topic of discussion for that day was our battle for time. So how screen time is actually getting into us so much. And something interesting I learned is that the CEO of Netflix was asked, who are your biggest competitors? And he said, after doing analysis in our organization, we found that our biggest competitors are YouTube, Facebook, and human sleep.
Human sleep.
Yes. So they do everything they can to get your sleep time into Netflix. Now, it made a lot of sense, and it's interesting how people are, people are intentionally having to manipulate us so that we buy into them. Of course, it's a capitalistic world, we all know that. But now, at the end of the conference, we were working on some action plans on how to give the best of our time to more productive things. And I realized that it's actually a bigger problem into people of my age, people of our generation, because you look at most people, the amount of time they spend on screens, both TV, phones, computers, and all that, it's a lot of time. And at the end of the day, the productivity level goes low and stuff. Something was suggested that first you need to get what we call stopping cues, because not all media is negative, right? You understand that better than I do. And also the second part, which now is coming to the question, is we need to identify what we call third spaces in our lives. So third spaces are those spaces away from home and school or work for those who are working. So you need to identify a third space where you can put your efforts there and dedication, and productivity will come there. A good example would be, let's say, volunteering at a place or joining a gym membership. Some white lady there joked that you can also join a cult, But at the end of the day, find a place for this time that you're battling with in the screen. Now, in regards to third spaces, what can you suggest for people your age to get themselves into?
Okay. I think we are Africans, and being Africans, we have very strong religious beliefs. So look at your age, whatever age you are. If you're 18 to 35, if you can get into youth group, please do. At the end of the day, you'll realize in these youth groups, in church or even in your mosque, if you're Hindu, there's always some sort of leadership structure. There's a chairman, there's a treasurer, there's a secretary, there's what. As much as might not be in the leadership, try to learn from them. Because if they're going for a camp, go to the camp with them, notice how they are organizing things. If there's a gap, help them. That will spark your productivity in you. Another thing is mentioning that we are Africans. Try to spend time with your family members as well. For this, I can say it can be quite therapeutic, but it depends. Families are very different. There's some people who say that they don't get along with their parents, with their siblings. We really can't change where we are from. Some people are orphans as well. So it's not a must you say that you're with family per se, your blood family. But if you're with your friends you consider family, who help you build yourself, and you try to explore new things, go for it. That's what I can say. It's not a must you necessarily have to spend time on your phone. If on your phone, what are you doing? Equally, your phone can be your best gadget. Like for me, my phone helps me become organized in a way. Something as simple as Google Calendar, you have it there. My Google Calendar is always full. Whenever someone tells me on that specific time we're doing something, very fast you see me open my phone, key in my Google Calendar, because one thing I've realized interacting with Europeans and even people from the global space is
scheduling.
They have schedules. Like you need to keep time. You need to make sure that your schedule is on point. How can you do this? Open your Google Calendar, key in those activities that you have. Put as many reminders as possible. Don't put reminder to go on email and don't check your email. Let it come as a notification on your phone. At 9 a.m., you're being reminded of an activity taking place at 12 noon. It will give you time to prepare yourself. I think that's the best thing. So as much as you have your gadgets, your phones, don't let them just be there for chatting, WhatsApp, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube. No, make it be a productive tool. You'll see someone investing in the latest smartphone, the most expensive, and you're wondering, where is this person investing in it?
Yeah.
This gadget helps you in so many ways than you can actually imagine. So for me, I try as much as possible to leverage on my smartphone to get my things in order, even automated responses when you're not available. Like, just try that. It will really help you, like one or the other.
Okay, thank you. Since you're caught up with time, one last word for our viewers in terms of something that is related to them growing and developing as individuals. Your camera is right here.
Okay. I think I have to link this to one special aspect here in Tangaza University College. We call it service learning. It's not really like a course you're taught, but it's a way of thinking that you need to instill in yourself. So service learning is you learn through service. Like, get yourself out there. If you want to volunteer, if you want to do something, don't be in your comfort zone. Yes, you've learned a new skill today. The problem is we learn most of the things in theory. How can you make this theoretical skill into practice? That's what I can say. You might be learning law, yes? Take yourself to the courtroom. Attending a court session, I don't think you'll be chased away. You just walk in, have a seat, listen to how other lawyers are speaking, you learn a skill from there. Network as much as possible. So service learning is just get out of your comfort zone. Use your skills as much as possible. Turn your theory into practice. And it's the best way to grow, honestly speaking. I'm a testimony of service learning. And with this, I've been in symposiums outside Kenya, presented virtually to people outside Kenya. Because it's a skill, it's an aspect of development that I really didn't know existed until I got introduced to it. So get out of your comfort zone and practice whatever you have. Don't wait for someone to give you money to do something. Yeah.
Wow, that's a good one. So thank you so much, Mr. Timonah. We hope to see you again. Keep growing, keep soaring, keep being a better version of you every single day. And we thank you for sharing your gifts with the world. It's such an amazing thing and such an amazing place to be. And we thank you for what you're doing for this institution, for the world at large. So thank you so much. We hope to see you again.
Thank you.
All right. Until next time, peace, and remember to subscribe and give us your comments on what you think about this conversation. And we hope to see you again. Be blessed.